Rita. She's here for a couple of minutes and then she's going to run off. But today's topic is about trauma. What has it taught us? What have we learned from it? And what advice can we give to people that have experienced or still going through trauma?
Yeah, what I'd like to say as well, we aren't any specialists or doctors or anything like that. We've just learned from our experiences.
Yes.
So I'm going to come on here and say we're any professionals of some sort in this regard, but we can everyone can learn from experience, just like we do when it comes to life. We learn from our experiences. So that's why I like to share our experiences, and maybe along the way we can help others. But
Yes.
I think it's always good to know how people deal with hard times and come out of those dark, doing the shadow work to see the light. So I think it's always important to have these discussions.
Yeah.
And so what has trauma taught you? If you're happy to share a particular trauma that you went through, great. If you don't, that's still okay. But what do you see trauma as, and how does it make you feel, and what do you learn from it?
Yeah, they're big questions. You want me to go first, or?
Yes, please.
So one of the biggest things was my dad passing 7 years ago. That was one of the biggest traumas anyone can have, is losing a parent or sibling or anything like that. And and I think the biggest thing, whilst you're in there, it's fresh to you. Trauma's a shock to the system. Yeah, something is, it's almost like the shocking thing happening in your life, and then you have to deal with all the emotions that come with dealing with this thing that's so shocking to your system, your family, changing it's affecting your environment, your just the way you go about your day to day, and it's processing it. And I think the biggest lessons I learned was, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be unhappy. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel all these emotions. And I think that's the biggest learning I had from it, was processing these emotions is what you have to do to be able to deal with this and cope and move on and grow. And I think too much times as human beings, we just want to get on with life and suppress these emotions and feelings. And I think the biggest things I learned is that sit with them. It's uncomfortable and you feel very vulnerable. You feel very naked, exposed. But it's important to deal with them and process them. And if you need to cry, cry. If you need to be angry, be angry. If you need to be sad and be alone at times, be alone. That's okay. But I think that's the biggest thing I took from it, was process your feelings. And the only way you're going to grow and move on is by accepting it, dealing with it.
How I see trauma is that it's a very, very dark place at the best of times. And it's a place where a lot of people don't want to be in. They don't want to be vulnerable. So it can be a place where we can actually dissociate ourselves from our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings. Is a very common thing that a lot of people do. Because that if you sit there and face what you're feeling, it then becomes real. And with trauma, if you choose not to detach yourself, the feeling that you will get is so real, because it's like we have our reality, don't we? This is our day-to-day reality, this, that, and the other, and then bang, something unfortunate happens. And it's like we got a choice of either, after the initial shock, how do we deal with this? Do we allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling, or do we switch it off and go on like nothing has happened? But I also believe as well, being that I used to be that person, I would disconnect, I detach myself. But I also learned that it's not healthy. But I also believe that when I've learned that when it comes to trauma, that's when I get to really see who I really am. You know, and that is a place where actually, do you know what? As much as it's a horrible thing that I'm going through, whether it be a death, somebody has hurt you, actually, you can plant new seeds there. You know, you can put new soil down. You can grow if you're willing to, and if you're wanting to, and if you're prepared to make them changes. And so as much as when I face trauma, it's been horrible, it's uncomfortable. At the same time, it's like, well, what can I do with it? Once I've accepted how I'm feeling, it's like, well, what can I do to overcome that? Does that make sense? Do I sit there and stay in that place? Or do I look at it as that this is a temporary place, just like everything is temporary in life? Do I choose to stay in that dark place, or do I work to get myself out of it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For better things for myself. And that's how I see it. So even if I'm faced with trauma, I will do my best to deal with what I'm aware of at that time. And to, you know, take steps forward. But if I fall back or I'm triggered back to that place, then I know there's some more shadow work that I need to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, totally.
That's how I see it. What about you, Roxy?
That was deep. But you know what? I 100% agree with you, Charlotte, and you, Mike. For me, you know, trauma, obviously growing up and processing, losing my dad at a young age, not knowing him, it did have a massive impact on my life and relationships. And then obviously going through things like emotional abuse and then heartache. You know, we all deal with things differently. Back in the day, I would literally just completely shut off. I was such an angry person, and I just didn't deal with things in the most positive way. I would take out my anger on everyone else. And like you said, go into this really dark place that didn't benefit me. And I could stay there for weeks, months, and just keep going down, down, down. And there was just no way out sometimes. And other things would just keep building and building on top of it. You know, I give God thanks that I've come out of that on a more positive side, like doing things like you said, Charlotte, like asking myself more empowering questions, seeing if if there's more to life, if this is somewhere I really want to stay, if this is living, because like obviously there's more to life, and life is full of so much good, positive things. It's not worth staying in this rut. And when you have kids, you realize you have to do even more work to get yourself out of that dark place, because you can't stay there. You've got another little person that's depending on you. So I would definitely say, you know, look for help. I wish that's something I knew back then. And obviously meeting people like yourself and Mike has really helped me to learn these concepts and grow, because, you know, it's important to speak out and ask for help and get that support that you need. Because when you feel like you're alone and you're isolated and you're looking at the world and feeling like you're the only one that's going through all of these things, it can get lonely. You just feel like you're this single being here dealing with everything else, not realizing that there's people that are going through similar things or even the same thing. And when you connect with them, you can both help each other out of this dark place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you're right. And you said about with children, I definitely can resonate with you there, because with my child, if anything, she unbeknown to her, she's just, you know, being a child, she would not know until she's older, over the years, what she's actually made me see about myself, you know, because, you know, as much as, you know, we're a blessing to them, they're a blessing to us. But also they will challenge us to correct ourselves without even knowing. Do you know what I mean? Because they look to us to guide them. You know, so, you know, we might be hit with like, actually, do you know what? I can't repeat this cycle that I learned from my parents. I've got to change it. And that might be you've got to uncondition yourself and change. And even that can be traumatic. Actually, unconditioning yourself can actually be quite traumatizing for the mind, because remember, the brain
Yeah.
is built to survive, isn't it? It's to protect you, you
Yeah.
know. So kids are actually a blessing in that
Yeah.
sense. Oh,
True.
Yeah,
I agree.
it gives you something to focus on, to take your attention away from you, because you're focusing on them and you want the best of them. And so, you know, that's what works with me. I don't have kids, but having something to focus on, giving myself some goals, setting myself some objectives to which I can achieve. And they could be small, they don't even have to be big. Little things. Go for a walk. Go for a walk today. Go to walk the dog, which I have to do. That's another thing. I have to walk the dog. So go and walk my dog and make it a longer walk, make it an hour. You know, go to a nice park or something, you know, where there's a nice lake, there's ducks, there's things like that around. Listen to some music that's, you know, some Bob Marley or something that's uplifting. You know, focus on something. That's what I found, is focusing on something, having something to look forward to, having something to accomplish, giving yourself that sense of achievement, that sense of self-worth, that, you know, that sense of importance. I think they're the key things that have always helped me to come out of the situation. And I'll tell you what, the funny thing is about it, I was thinking this the other day, within all of this, when you're going through it and you're experiencing this trauma, I'm finding now I have a clarity of almost a clearer way of thinking within it. Before, I used to feel so lost within something bad that had happened, and now I find this clarity to it. I can see more clearly. Like the bad thing that happens to me, I always look at kind of the part I played, if I did, and, you know, this has happened to me, and, you know, what can I do and how can I respond to this, you know, is where the control we have in the situation. You know, sometimes you feel like your life's spiraling out of control, but our control we have is how we respond to what's happened to us. And I think we need to focus more on that and moving forwards rather than what's happened. Let's look at how we can move forwards and get on with our life, because no matter what happens, life goes on and it needs to go on, and you just got to make the best of it. And I'm not saying don't process what you've gone through. I'm just saying that look forwards always. Say, look, yes, I know I need to process this, and I need my days to cry. I need my days to do that, but always look forward to something. And I find that's my way. Just like my plans with this podcast and other things I want to do this year, I'm always looking forwards.
Yeah. I also think that in order for that to happen, because, you know, we shouldn't, you know, you can't avoid trauma. No. At some point in life, everybody is going to be faced with some form of trauma. And I think that a lot of the reasons, personally, I believe that a lot of people will stay in them dark places. It's not because they don't want to get out of it. It's that they haven't got the tools. They haven't been shown, how do I get out of this? They may not have been shown by family members, or you know, their friends may not know because they've never suffered that trauma, you know. So then you find that people do, you know, react in a frustrated way, just because they don't want to be what they're feeling right now. They don't want to be there. They want to be out of it. So it's important that we're aware of the tools, and if somebody is going through something that we have gone through, you know, giving them the tools in a sense like, look, I tried this tool, give that a try and see if it helps you. I think we should encourage other people in that. Do you know what I mean? Because you find as well, like, if somebody's gone through something, you tend to find that somebody else has gone through the same thing or something very similar, and you're getting your way out of it is very similar too. Do you know what I mean? But it's about, you know, knowing what tools to use. And some people don't. It's like somebody saying, for example, "I'll go and build that brick wall over there." You got the, you know, you got the cement, you got the bricks. You know, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? You know, so then you might research it online. Or, you know, so it's about the tools. And I think having the tools or being taught the tools, it's very useful. And that's why I like talking to other people, going to therapy, finding things that you like about yourself, doing them things, as regularly as you can, does help, and it will help you get out of that place. And even if you fall back in that place, the more you use the tools, you become so used to using them tools that as soon as you're in, you're back out again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally agree. And you got me thinking here. You got me thinking about almost, depending on, because of your environment of it affects, like men as a whole, we, communication and sharing out, expressing our feelings and things like that. That's why it's tougher for us, and it's nice because I've got people like yourselves, other friends and stuff I can actually talk to about, when I'm going through stuff. But a lot of people don't have that or feel comfortable to do that. So it's important to try and surround yourself with like-minded people, with people that experience things, or people you could even trust. They might, they may not have experienced certain things, but people you feel you can confide in, so you don't feel completely alone, because that's what you feel when you're going through these times. Even with people around you, you feel alone, and you feel, I'm dealing with this myself, which isn't the truth, but that's what your mind telling you that. It's important we surround ourselves with and that's why finding your old tribe is so important. And that's why I'm quite lucky. I'm fortunate. I got my own tribe now.
Say that, you said about men don't, talk a lot, unless it's really trusted people. What you have to remember is you were conditioned to be that way. Okay, you can and remind yourself, you don't have to be that person that bottles everything up. You don't have to be. You can be that person that can sit there and express yourself. It doesn't matter how you express yourself, but you can express yourself. And that's my message just there. Only because you mentioned about men, I just wanted to put that in there, that is just something you're conditioned. That's generations and generations. So as you say, finding people that you're close with, that are like-minded, it's good because you can be vulnerable and know that you're not going to be judged for it.
You go. It's the biggest thing. The biggest thing.
Very important for that as well.
When you're sharing how you're feeling, is to have that is feeling comfortable doing so, and not feeling as soon as you say something you're going to be judged or put down for feeling a particular way, and which just comes natural to you. That I totally agree, and it's true. It's conditioning, and the thing about life, though, and you think about us as a child coming into as a baby coming into this world, of soaking up all this information from our environment and what's around us, and believing what we're being told, till we get to an age where we feel that most of this, not most of it, because it depends on who you are, but to me there was a lot of it that didn't serve me, so I had to find myself unlearning a lot of all this stuff that was being taught to me and experiences I've had, and me thinking I had to be a particular way as a black man, growing up in a black community, who I was meant to date, who I was, the way I was meant to dress, the way I was meant to talk, the music I was meant to listen to. So there's all this stuff we take on, and that's why a lot of people feel lost, because it's not truly you. You're being what other people expect you to be, rather than being true to yourself. And I think that's the journey we're all on, is trying to discover who we really are.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that's a big place where all this misguided trauma does come from, like you lot are saying, conditioning. And the major thing I would say is not knowing who you are. Because I think if I knew who I was and I was more connected with myself, like you said, Charlotte, I'd have been able to acquire these tools sooner. I would have been more equipped to go and find people to help me. But because like in the way we were brought up, our community, they don't go and seek help. They don't really talk about their problems. Like it kind of gets brushed under the carpet. You get on with things. So then you are conditioned to be that way, thinking, okay, in this life, it's just me alone. I have to just get on with it. I have to wear a tough front. I have to be a warrior. And I'm like, well, no, because when you keep doing this, it's not benefiting your mental health because you keep going into this dark place. You're not dealing with the things that you should be dealing with, and it all does build up. And then, you know, once it gets to the breaking point, that's where people have nervous breakdowns and things like that, because it's literally your brain cannot take any more. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think people watching, take the time out, figure out who you are, and look at the things that you truly believe in, and sift through your problems. Take it day by day, you know, try journaling, meditation, seek support. But I think, you know, start today. Just take your time and just start.
Also remember as well that it's okay to not have everything figured out, you know, and that's a very, you know, it's a very normal thing. Like you said, from young, you know, to adult, even as an adult, young or a teenager and adult, it's even as an old person, you don't have everything figured out. So, and guaranteed in life, you're going to get lost along the way, you know, because remember, for the first important years of your life, we're growing up looking at our parents and what they're teaching us. So we can only go on what we know then. We only really kind of get to know ourselves as we get older. So it's okay if you don't know where to start. Just saying to yourself, you know what, I'm not okay. That's enough. That's a start. I'm not okay, but I want to make it okay. And that's fine. You know, you will learn along the way. It's okay sometimes, actually. Learning along the way can be a very beautiful journey. When you start to condition yourself on what you're used to, and even if you're nervous going on a new path, it can actually be quite fun because you might be more spontaneous. You'll learn new things about yourself, and that's what makes it exciting and beautiful. But also the reality is that there will always be obstacles along the way. And remember that trauma is, it's a journey. It's not a race. There is no deadline. As long as you're working towards, you know, the end goal, that's okay. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. You will get there if you want to.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
Seeking help isn't a weakness. To men out there, and any women out there that may feel that as well, seeking help, seeking support is not weak, it's a strength, because you know there's a problem and you want to do something about it.
I agree.
We want to progress our lives. We want to move forward. That's a strength. It's not a weakness. Sometimes we all need some support. We need some support. We need someone to speak to who's going to listen without judgment. And, you know, that's not weak. That's strength to want to be better, feel better.
Yeah.
You know, move, as I said, moving forwards and not dwell in this state, this way of feeling. I call it a funk.
Yeah.
I call it a funk.
Get sick as well, because, you know, like I told a relative, but I said to them, like, but obviously I'm from a mixed heritage, and both sides of my family are very much if there's a problem, oh, you get on with it. Do you know what I mean? That's just what they are, you know. But me now, it's like, actually, you know what? No, because I've unconditioned myself. I'm not a part of it. I'm a part of it.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
And but I say it's like, if you, and I know it sounds silly, but it's like, I feel a lot healthier since I started learning how to trauma. Because you don't know how it's going to come out in your body some way or another. Whether it be
100%.
you're going to be sick a lot, you might have a lot of stomach pains all the time, headaches, you know, medical conditions arise. You know, it's going to get you one way or the other. So if you are faced with it, faced with trauma, give yourself some time, work on it, and then, you know, find your steps forward, because you will get sick in the end. And I said that to the relative. I said, if you don't, they went, but I said, you will get sick. And they're like, but if I do cry, I won't stop. And I said, no, but you will stop, because your tears will stop eventually. Let it all out, you know. But it's something that's important, you know. But I've kind of like planted the seed. So to me, that's enough, that seed in their mind. I don't want you being sick, you know, so please just start letting it all out, you know.
And that's what it takes, isn't it? The seed.
Oh, I'm a crybaby. Ever since I started working on trauma, I'd say about 2 years ago, 2.5. I'm not even joking. No, 2019, 3 years. I started working on past trauma. I'm a crybaby now.
It's so good. It's so good just to
It
release.
is. But don't you feel better after a good cry though? Sometimes I'm that type of person. I don't cry easily because I've been taught, crying is a weakness. So it's like I get so embarrassed to cry in front of people. I'll be like, oh my God, they're gonna be like, raw, what's you crying for? Oh, I got an ugly cry. Like I used to sometimes get into my head like that. But when I cry, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so good. I don't feel so like all this stagnant bad energy in my body. I feel lighter, I feel free. And I'm just like, okay, so what do I do now? Like, and I start looking at things so much different because the thoughts have changed in my mind because it's like it's all come out now. There's nothing left. It's gone.
Yeah, it's toxic holding on to it, isn't it?
It is.
All I know is that I'm just a crybaby. Like I
don't
cry
worry, I'm gonna cry with you.
But do you know what, Hannah? Right, I never cried as a kid much. I had to hold everything in. I suppressed everything, dissociated, detached everything. So the fact that I'm like, oh my God, it's like I could watch a TV program and something so little, and it's like, oh my God, that's it.
It's good though, because I think when you don't do that, you feel like you're weird, like you're not human, like you don't have human emotions, like you feel like a robot. And that's why, like, I love the way you guys are saying about looking for the support, because people, you have to understand, support is definitely not a weakness. It's a doorway. It's an opportunity. It's getting you to that other side, because once you open that door, remember, possibilities will come through. You meet new people. You might help somebody else while someone's helping you. Like so much is to come from just seeking support and opening that door. And like you said, Charlotte, don't hold it in no more. Like just talk about it, because
there you go.
I never used to. I used to keep my mouth shut. I was so embarrassed of certain things I went through. And like I said, family not speaking about it. So you didn't have that. You don't know who to talk to. Yeah, we just talk like it's normal. And I love sharing my stuff sometimes. Sometimes it is a bit embarrassing, a bit uncomfortable because you're being vulnerable, sorry. But I know I'm helping somebody. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it.
And it's still new to you, isn't it? So you're still new, and I think personally, to add to what you're saying, if it 3 years ago, I would not be sitting here doing this. I had to go on my own personal journey for self-help and everything else to be able to get to this place. And even if like now I'm in a place where I can talk about my feelings, I may not always get the words right, but I know that if I get stuck, I'm like, I'll take a breather, I'll go for some fresh air, and then I'll come back to myself, Roxanne, Michael. If you do need any support and if we can help you, I'm pretty certain we will. And also just be kind to yourself. Just be really kind to yourself. Life's a journey, not a race. That's how I'm ending it on my part.
I agree.
Roxy,
I'd say take it each day as it comes, one step at a time, self-love, self-care. Then just be kind to yourself. Understand it is a journey, it's a process, but know you will come out on the other side all right. As long as you take action steps and you want to change, you want better for yourself, you will attract and get better for yourself.
Definitely.
And yourself, Mike?
Yeah, no, just to seek help, speak to someone, anyone. That's what helped me when I was in a really dark place, to speaking to someone. Just speaking to someone who's not going to judge, you can share, and you feel so much better. It's like a load. It's taking a load off you. All that weight that you're holding, and all those emotions you're suppressing, and that helped me release. I needed to tell and speak about it and just express what I was going through at the time, and that was the start. That as you said, Roxy, it's a doorway. And it's opening a door, and once you open that door, it's a lot easier to keep on walking through it. And, you have to start somewhere, and that's what I would say. That's what helped me right in the beginnings when I started feeling anxiety and depression, and I was really struggling with what these emotions were. speaking to someone who knew about these things definitely helped me, because, you know, growing up with my background in the community I grew up in, you know, as I always say, these things weren't discussed. So it's just like, when I was going for it, I thought I was having a heart attack, because I was like, what is this? And then someone's like, it's just anxiety. It's just, you know, having a panic attack. Yeah. I was like, what? And then I researched it, and then that's when the education was there. The real growth started happening for me, was when I started looking into it and really and realizing it's a natural thing, and everyone experiences this. It's, you know, it's not just certain people. Everyone has some level of it. It could be low levels or really high levels, but everyone experiences some anxiety or some form. It's, you know, some people say to me, oh no, I never felt it. It could be really little though. It could manifest in a different way.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it's there, and it's all of us as human beings have these feelings. You know, it's just, you know, our body fight or flight mode protecting us. So yeah, I'll just say seek help, and DM us if you ever want to speak to any of us. You know, DM's always open. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, you know, whether I know you well or not. You know, we're here for you. We're here for each other, and we're going to keep on making meaningful podcasts, and hopefully we reach, you know, we can help others. And that's the idea of all of this, is sharing our experiences. We aren't experts, professionals, but we, you know, we have experienced a lot, all different things, but through that we can help others by sharing our experiences.
Sure.
So people, please like, share, and subscribe. Char, thank you very much. Roxy, always a pleasure, guys. Always nice to do this together. And people, please, you know, support the show so we can make many more shows. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks as well.
Bless. Peace out.
Take care.